In today's news, NGOs are opposing a draft law that would give the Thai government more control over public gatherings. And Thailand defends its shaky human trafficking record. That's all coming up in today's program.
Thailand News Today is brought to you by 5-Star Marine.
You're watching Thailand News Today, bringing you the latest top stories in Thailand and beyond. My name is Jet Gunther, and in our first story, representatives of various NGOs have gathered at the UN headquarters in Bangkok to oppose a draft law that would give the Thai government more control over public gatherings and be able to monitor the financial transactions of NGOs. The NGOs say the law will be used as a weapon against freedom of expression. According to the Bangkok Post, the group has already submitted a letter to the Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security. In the letter, they call for the draft law to be scrapped. According to Lertsak Kamkongsak from the People's Movement Against the Draft Laws that undermine freedom of association, the group is prepared to take the matter further if necessary. He says, quote, "The government should not consider the bill that's expected to be delivered to the cabinet this week." The group has also petitioned the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, which is the Secretariat of the UN for the Asian and Pacific region. In a letter to the Commission, the group calls for the government's proposed law to be dropped, claiming it breaches the right to freedom of association and freedom of expression for nonprofits. The group adds that if the law is implemented, the government will have the power to order a temporary or permanent shutdown of any nonprofit operating in Thailand if officials decide the organization's activities are affecting relationships between countries, causing divisions in society, or affecting government security. Yesterday, Thailand defended its human trafficking record and hit back at U.S. accusations that the illegal trafficking of people is a national problem. A Thai delegation led by the Director General of the Department of American and South Pacific Affairs, Jetapan Maksampan, met with U.S. Department of State officials in Washington last week to discuss the matter ahead of the 2022 annual Trafficking in Persons report. Thai officials insisted human trafficking is a regional issue, not a national problem, and urged the U.S. to not target individual countries. Assistant Chief of the National Police Lieutenant General Surachet Hakpan, who is in charge of combating human trafficking operations, says Thailand is not an origin or destination country as mentioned in the previous TIP report, and human trafficking should not be blamed on one specific country. He insisted that, quote, "Thailand is only a transit point, and the Thai government has made a serious effort in stamping out human trafficking." The Thai delegation in Washington updated U.S. officials on its efforts to tackle the illegal transportation of people, including the prosecution of trafficking suspects and the provision of assistance to victims. Surachet admitted Thailand witnessed a sharp rise in human trafficking cases between October last year and May this year, with 193 trafficking cases and 200 cases involving the sexual abuse of children. He also revealed assets worth 142 million baht were seized during the period. Surachet added U.S. authorities were satisfied with Thailand's suppression of human trafficking, specifically the rescue of 200 people duped to work illegally in neighboring Cambodia. U.S. officials made several recommendations to combat trafficking victims and asked Thailand to submit documents on 6 topics, including the number of rescued victims and its details. Thailand was demoted to the Tier 2 watch list in last year's TIP report. The government hopes it will be upgraded this year for addressing problems mentioned in last year's report.
Choose your trip to your favorite island with 5-Star Marine. Go to 5starmarinephuket.com.
A boat carrying at least 90 Rohingya refugees from Myanmar's Rakhine state to Malaysia capsized off the coast of Myanmar on Saturday, killing at least 14 people, mostly children. More than 50 passengers remain missing after the boat capsized during a storm, and 23 survivors were detained by police in Patian district in Myanmar's Ayeyarwady region. The UN reports that at least 17 passengers are feared dead. Some survivors told Radio Free Asia that the refugees, fleeing persecution by the Burmese junta, had paid traffickers between $1,500 and $2,500 each to get to Malaysia via boat, where they hoped to find employment. 7 bodies washed up on Sunday near the popular Shui Tong Yan Beach in Patian district. A local resident said 90 people were said to be on the boat, 23 were arrested, and 14 dead bodies have been found so far, most of them children aged 11 or 12 years of age. 6 more bodies were found in wetland areas nearby on Sunday afternoon, and another body washed up on the shore of a nearby beach. According to local residents, the Rohingya refugees were trying to make their way to Malaysia away from displacement camps. The Rohingya people are a stateless Indo-Aryan ethnic group who predominantly follow Islam and reside in Rakhine State in Myanmar. Benar News reported that the Burmese junta still consider the Rohingya as illegal immigrants from Bangladesh, even if they are born in Myanmar. A spokesperson for the junta said, "A search was carried out and found 14 Bengalis dead. The rest will be deported as usual." The spokesperson said that Burmese authorities captured 5 suspects in relation to the incident. The Center of Medical Genomics from Ramatibadi Hospital is developing a monkeypox test from the genetic codes obtained from Portugal and Belgium. The test will provide the result within 24 hours, and it is expected to be ready for use in the next 2 weeks. The official Facebook page of the Center of Medical Genomics announced on May the 21st that they are developing the monkeypox test. The center said they quickly worked on the test just as a precaution if any cases are detected in Thailand. At this stage, there are no cases reported in Thailand. The center revealed that they used the genetic codes from German and Portuguese laboratories as a blueprint to develop the test that would allow Thai scientists to provide the result within 24 hours. With this technology, Thailand will be able to perform about 100 tests per day. The center added that the testing cost and time spent in testing would be similar to the COVID-19 PCR tests. The Genomics Center explained that if monkeypox is detected in Thailand, the medical centers could do a saliva swab or collect samples from blisters and send them to the center for further diagnosis. The center is emphasizing that information on how monkeypox was able to spread outside of African countries where the disease is endemic is not currently clear. The center clarified that monkeypox is different from COVID-19 because it is primarily spread from close contact and more difficult to transmit human to human. They expect to finish the development of an effective test in the next 2 weeks and hope that the disease would not enter Thailand in the first place. The eastern province of Trat has reported 11 malaria patients, 9 from Koh Chang and 2 from the Borai district. The disease was first detected in the local monkey population and then transmitted to humans by mosquitoes. Blood from random monkeys on Koh Chang has been tested in efforts to control the spread of the disease. According to the report, the officers had tested the monkeys' blood to locate the source of malaria 2 months ago when 9 cases were reported. However, the officers found a more deadly strain of malaria that had not been detected in humans in the area before. Yesterday, officers from the Koh Chang Livestock Office and Mu Koh Chang National Park collected blood from monkeys again, both wild and on the streets, to more accurately find sources of the small malaria outbreak in the area. Humans will become infected when they are bitten by female Anopheles mosquitoes that had bitten infected monkeys previously. Nearly 100 patients with this strain of malaria have now been reported from the end of 2021 and into this year. Ranong, Songkhla, and Trat provinces found the highest number of patients, and 1 death was reported in Songkhla in southern Thailand. All 5 known human malaria parasites have been reported in Thailand. About 135,000 cases of malaria were detected in Thailand in 2020. The officers are urging residents in the risk areas and tourists to take proper precautions against mosquito bites and avoid getting near or touching monkeys. Avoiding malaria is much the same as avoiding dengue fever, and that is to avoid mosquito bites to begin with. And that's all for today's report from Thailand News Today. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.